Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome to the Change Book International podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Harvick, and this is where we meet every Monday, where I introduce to you one of our amazing co-authors. And today is no exception. We have got Halley Elise with us, and I've been talking to her for a few minutes, just kind of behind the scenes. I am so excited to get this started. So, Halley, welcome. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you so much, Nicole, but I have one little request. The name is Halley.
Halley?
Think like Halley on the comments.
You did say that in your bio. Halley. Thank you for correcting me, because we want people to know who you are, because I've got like all your links in the description, and I know people are going to want to get a hold of you. So anyway, Halley, how did you choose the Change Book?
Well, there's a funny little story here. I didn't even know about the Change Book. I mean, it's an amazing book. The series is phenomenal. It's making such a wide shadow in a positive way for so many people. And I got a note from somebody, an assistant to one of the main guys, and he's like, can I talk to you about something? And I'm thinking, sure. Oh, we say yes. You never know. Collaborating, right? Interacting. And come to find out, he was the assistant to one of the gyms that we know that are connected to the book. And he said, would you be interested in being a part of a book that makes an impact on the world? I'm like, how can I say no to that? So of course I said yes. And then I asked about the details. But so far it's a whirlwind, because I'm finding that the community connected with the Change Book series really is close-knit, really is caring, really is supportive. And so many different organizations you might hope that from, but you don't see it. Here you see it.
And I love that you bring that up, because I've already collabed with people. I've made friends. I've actually had dinner with Jim Lutz, and it's very different from other Facebook groups I'm a member of. And I can say that I feel doing this, I mean, I have fallen in love with every person I've done an interview with. Unbelievably great people. So I want to know more about you. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Oh my goodness, who am I? I am a light being. I think it's Deepak Chopra that says we are from this world, but not of this world, if I'm remembering the quote correctly. And I really embody that in my life, meaning, yes, I'm living in physical form and I am very much a part of this world. I've gone out of my way to be mainstream, not woo-woo. And it's funny with woo-woo, simply because I have dear friends that are shaman, and I have dear friends that are philosophers. And I'm finding that science and religion and philosophy are becoming very melded together. And I conduct myself in that fashion. So who I am is really a being of study, a being of light, a being who wants to bring more of that information into the world for people to have better lives. So what do? I help others recognize their intuitive abilities. I'm so excited to be here. I can't speak.
I am too.
I help others recognize their intuitive abilities, enabling them to have a better life. And I know that's not like a catch-all term, have a better life, but when I say that, I come from the space of, if you go for a job interview and you walk in the door and something says, get out, that higher knowing, that voice within says, get out, and you listen, you're on the right side of your intuition, in the same way that you are in adverse situations. I'm going to share a quick story because I think it's apropos. I help people listen better so that they can work with their higher consciousness. I know a lot of folks today are referring to the word as super conscious. And on more than one occasion, listening to that inner knowing, listening to that higher guidance, I have literally saved my life. And I am grateful to say that clients have told me I've helped save their lives. It is much bigger than, oh, I know when the phone's going to ring. That's great. And it's great to run into somebody and have deja vu. That's amazing. And to have those little occurrences, we all do it. We all have ability. But my gift really is to help others recognize their ability and go take it to the maximum so they can implement it in their life, whether it's for business or personal.
Wow. Can you tell us about that event to where you actually saved your life?
Trying to think, which one should I share?
Yeah, but this could go on for hours, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say the best one would be 9/11. I was traveling the next day, which I was 9/10. I was traveling on 9/11 to meet a friend of mine. We were co-authoring our first book together, and we were going to strategize in New York. The day before, I'm hearing, take your phone book. I'm thinking, why would I take a phone book? It was a day timer, this big. I've had it in the drawer for 3 years simply because I have a cell phone. Everything I need is on the cell phone. And I'm hearing it throughout the day, louder and louder and louder. I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. Why would I do that, right? And finally at midnight, I hear it so loud, and it's as if there's flashing lights in my head. So I'm like, fine, I'll take it. Stick it in my suitcase in the middle, and I hear, no, leave it on top. Like, you win. Okay, I'll leave it on top. Get on the plane, and I'm like, something's not right. And I ask, are we safe? I hear yes. Is the plane going to crash? I hear no. Will we land? I hear yes. What I should have asked was, where would we be landing? Our plane got diverted because at the time we were supposed to be landing, New York was being attacked. And we were landing 2 minutes away from where New York was being attacked. We were diverted to Atlantic City. Now, there was this knowing that something was impending. And we had an amazing pilot who did not go into a lot of information. He just said, there seems to be some traffic. There's this, there's that. Like, to keep everybody calm. He did a great job. And he didn't tell us what was going on until we landed. We land. And come to find out that the military is there and there's armed guards there. It was total bedlam, total chaos. People I was with on the plane were panicked. And because I teach stress management and tapping in and all these things, I grabbed like 5 people, like, come here, let's go. And we go and we sit. During all this, I come to realize I'm in a city without anything set up for me. I didn't take credit cards. I took minimum cash because I was meeting a friend and we were hanging. There was no need for all these things. When I travel, a lot of times I take very little. And so had I not taken that quote unquote phone book with me, I would not have been able to reach a friend who lived not far from the airport, who I hadn't spoken to, by the way, in 10 years, but knew she had gotten married. And I did not have her new phone number or her married name in my phone. I had the old information, which I would not have been able to reach her. So I literally was picked up. She went through 3 checkpoints and they wouldn't even let her get in. They ended up walking me out. I was safe. I had a home. I had a place to be where I was loved and looked after for a week. I could not get a plane out. I could not take a train, a bus, a car. I couldn't even rent a car. There was no way for me to leave. And because of that, because I listened to taking that phone book, I had a roof over my head, I was safe, and I had food, and I was surrounded by love. Otherwise, I, in most probability, would have been at the airport for a week, not knowing what I was doing.
Whew, that story just gives me goosebumps. That really is amazing. And a lot of people think that listening to that is senseless. Well, what does that mean? But how many times have you hesitated? Not, your story's huge, but I can just remember hesitating at a stop sign. If someone will run it. Right. And I always tell my kids, I'm like, hey, if you lose your keys and it takes you 2 minutes to find them, just give thanks for that, because you don't know what was averted in that time. And, one of the things you talk about is woo-woo. People think all of this is woo-woo, right, but it's really ancient wisdom.
Correct.
It's not new age. There's nothing new.
No, exactly. It's so true.
Nothing new. I mean, you go back to Egypt or even before that. Mm-hmm. And this has been going on for ages. They just, I feel, kind of dumbed us down a little bit in terms of, right, of being embarrassed to share this, because this is truly a great gift that you have.
I believe you're correct in the sense of dumbing us down, as well as, and I may not be appreciated for what I'm going to say. However, religion in general, and I am using the words in general, lose power, lose control if every individual is connected to the divine without them. And don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, I believe in higher power. I believe that religion serves its purpose. I believe that tradition is important. I believe that there are very magical, sacred individuals, whether it's a synagogue or a mosque or a church, though I believe more that we are divinely connected. And it's amazing.
I am locking arms with you and skipping down the street because, you know, I want to have my experience how I'm supposed to without interference. And, you know, I have people tell me, oh, you shouldn't be meditating. You shouldn't be doing yoga, you know, that. And I'm like, that takes me inside of me. I'm safe inside of me. My answers are inside of me. My truth is inside of me. I can't think of any place else safer to be. And so for me, it's really a conditioning from birth in certain instances of what not to do. And then people live in fear. Well, what happens then? You lower your vibration.
But they don't understand vibration. And I think Wayne Dyer was amazing when he talked about the acorn, you know, the intelligence, the energy of what an acorn can become is with it its entire life. And it's the same thing with a child when they're born. Intuition is with that child, higher knowing, connection to the divine, all of these things, emanating light is with the child when it's first born. It's a matter of what's our conditioning? What is the environment that we grow up in? How do we feel about ourselves? There's so much about children being wounded, people being wounded. And it's true, we're wounded, but not because somebody hit us with a fist. It's that environmentally, whether it's the habitat we live in or it's a teacher or a neighbor, alter our perception. When we meditate, when we get still, we have that ability to understand better and connect. Yes, there might be something there. However, it does not have to hold us back. It actually has a secondary gain. It's a matter of understanding what was that difficulty about? What was that challenge about? And even if it was a horrid experience, there was always something there that we can garner and actually implement in our life for more growth and understand. And I think that's very much where the intuition comes in. It's listening within, listening to the divine.
Wow. Now that deserves a standing ovation. Just so you know that, but that is very, very true. And, you know, when you talk about childhood, did all of your gifts develop in childhood? Were you born, do you think you're born with this and utilize it? Or how did it come about to where you finally felt that you could come out of the closet with it?
I've had this for as long as I can remember. When I was a kid, my mom used to teach, she'd point a finger at me and go, I'm going to have you tested for psychic ability. But they used to say ESP back then.
Yes, I remember.
Extrasensory perception, right? When I think I was 18, I'm like, really, Mom? She'd go, forget it. It became a joke. I think I was perhaps 13 or 14 when I said something and a friend went, how could you possibly know that? And I looked at her and I said, well, don't you? She goes, no, like I until I, found out, no. I thought, oh, I didn't realize really that I was doing anything out of the ordinary or that everybody wasn't doing. It was just my nature. And I started studying, and I'm still a student. I will study everything and anything I can get my hands on when it has to do with ancient technology, has to do with higher wisdom, has to do with philosophy, has to do with assisting people. Mindset is massive. And I know that Jim Britt and our other Jim as well, forgive me, I just went blank
Jim
on it.
Lutz, yes.
Thank you, Jim Lutz. Goodness, sorry guys. I know that both of them.
We won't tell him. We'll block that out or something.
I know that both of them come from a very strong foundation of understanding that our minds are powerful. And when I say mind, people often think the brain. Yes, our brains are very important. Our brain, though, is a limitation. Our mind is what is inclusive. It is our consciousness. It is our unconsciousness. It is higher consciousness. It's all that we are. If we open ourselves to integrate, or we're even just open to hearing more, then we are higher functioning. And who was it? I know one of the great scientists said we use, I think it was like 5 to 7% of the brain. Recent discovery saying it's more like 10%. Okay, so just our brain alone, if we're only using 10%, if we have 90 more cent to use, where does that leave us?
Whew, off the charts if we were to utilize everything.
Exactly.
Off the charts.
Exactly.
And many years ago, it was explained to me through my guides that there are actually two of us, and it's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. There's what you're born with, you come in with a brain and a body, yes. But what enters is the soul and the mind. And the mind obviously is what connects to the universe. So I always think of my brain as, that's the computer I need to get me through this earthly life.
Yeah.
And that mind, when I use that and connect into the ethers,
yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now tell us some of the other things you do. I mean, I know you have your own show, you have a radio network. Tell us about that. That's exciting.
Okay, I've been on radio on and off for I guess it's about 3 decades, and I say on and off periodically. Go taking a break. And ultimately go back to it because I love it. These days, I'm working with A1R Radio, which is a psychic radio network, and they have a lot of podcasts. They have 25 different platforms. If you ask me all of them, I can't even tell you. That's terrible. But just look up A1R Radio or go to iHeartRadio and you can connect. As to other things, my background is inclusive of clinical hypnosis. Again, dealing with the brain, dealing with the mind. Love that. Studied several different modalities of energy work. And a big part of that was because I was doing energy work and didn't know what I was doing. Here's the biggest thing, if I may, sharing with other people. I know what I know because something pops up in my life that says, you do this, understand it. So for instance, and this is kind of cute, I was 18, I was working part-time at a restaurant. Kid signed his name, kid was older than I, but he signed his name on the check or the, what was it? The credit card receipt. Yeah, we don't do that anymore the same way. But anyways, it was one of those old-fashioned ones you move across and there's an imprint. Okay. And I happened to look at it, and without even thinking, out of my mouth comes all these things. Oh, I'm sorry your parents just got divorced. Oh, isn't it nice about this and that? And the kids, that's okay. Didn't even dawn on me what I was doing until he practically, turned white and ran out of the restaurant. I went, what did I just do? And I looked and went, well, the handwriting was talking to me. Then I investigated and I took courses on handwriting analysis. And I was very blessed to find a teacher who understood spiritual work in conjunction with handwriting. This way, I understood what I was doing. Pretty much anything that showed up in my life, I have wanted to know more about. And I have followed through with education. And then, of course, as I said earlier, I just keep going, oh, what's that? I need to learn that.
It's amazing. And is the signature that spoke to you, is that anything like automatic writing where you connect with the ethers, you write? Do you do that as well? Or is that a little bit?
I've done that on occasion, but I think in the last 40 years, maybe I've done that twice. It's not something that I would consider an expertise. As far as what I was reading, I was actually reading the handwriting, which at the time I didn't know. It was just automatic recognizing. So for instance, a letter swerved to the right and it meant something to me. It was so high, it meant something to me. It swerved to the left, or it was abbreviated, or whatever it was within the signature, the letter spoke to me. Here's another quick funny. When I was a kid, I talked to rocks and shells and different things. And unbeknownst to me as an adult, because I forgot about it, I would share that with my mom and her friends. I was giving a lecture and one of her friends came up to me afterwards. She goes, do you remember when you were 5 and you came up to me and told me what the rocks and the shells and the trees were telling you?
Wow.
Laughing, I said, no. What I didn't know then was its energy. Yeah, really and truly. And that takes me back to what I was saying about Wayne Dyer. He was such a phenomenal teacher because of the fact he helped people understand from a more analytical perspective.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know what? We know everything is energy and everything can speak to us if we listen.
Yes.
And I think that's like that big block that everybody has is, you know, we talk too much and we listen too little. And for me, silence is my superpower now.
Exactly, because in the silence, we heal. In the silence, we hear. In the silence, we are guided. You know, you ask what I do. Before I go and sit with a client, whether it's in person, on the phone, video, what have you, I get quiet. I go into that silence. I do a little prayer. I ask that I'm guided to give the most loving, auspicious, helpful information. And that's it. And then whatever comes, comes. But I've incorporated over the years the different tools that I have from my education, the different modalities. You know, someone may come in and want a psychic reading, and I give them that. However, something comes through that guides me to say to them, you know, that left shoulder seems to be an issue. Please go to the doctor when you leave here. And I'll get a call later going, thank you for telling me that because I had whatever. And that's happened more than once. I just allow what's supposed to come. And if I see something that can help somebody, I'll suggest it. I'm not that person who says, you have to go do this. I don't like
right. People have free will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I let people know too, just because this information's coming through, that doesn't mean it's an absolute. You as an individual have free will. You can say no, thank you, or you can say I'll investigate it, or you can say yes, I'll listen. However you are most comfortable, that's what counts.
I love that. And you know, one of the things that I was told too many, many years ago is that I have given this gift. I have two choices. When you're given the message, you have to speak it as it comes to you, or you don't say it at all. So sometimes when something comes through that's a little bit like, oh, they're not going to like this, I always say, listen, you know, I can tell you what it is, but I have to tell you exactly as I hear. So it's like an honor code. Do you have that as well?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes it's really tough because I do my best to give information as constructively as possible in a very short little ditty because there really is a corollary here. One of my mom's friends came for a reading. I think I was old 18. And in the midst of the reading, I got a flash of a female child underwater. I'm like, oh God, please don't have me tell this person this, please, please, please. And it just got louder and louder, kind of like the book, louder. I said, fine, I'll share. So I, as gracefully as possible, said to her, please keep an eye on any young children, female children that are near the water, swimming pool, bathtub, lake, female under the age of 2. I said, I can't tell you exactly why. I said, but what I'm seeing scares me. And that was the best way that I could share. Several months later, come to find out that her grandbaby, little girl, drowned in the bathtub. Which after that, I said, you know, I don't know that I want to do this. I looked up, I said, if I can't help prevent something like that, why do you want me to do this? And so for a while, I backed away. And I really had to go within and ask, do I do more harm than good? And not that I caused the situation to happen, but it really was very shattering to think that something so awful could happen.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, do you like when you're grocery shopping or when you're in the mall, whatever, do you pick up messages as you walk by people?
I used to. I've gotten much better at creating, we'll call it a shield around me to insulate me, because it was at a point where I couldn't breathe. I was walking into, let's say, a mall. Malls still are a little tough. Too much chatter, too much going on. And yet on occasion, even though I have that, if you will, shield up, I will feel something so intensely that I might say to somebody, hi, I know you don't know me, and I'm going to ask. If the answer is no, that's perfectly fine, but I feel like I have something to share with you. And if they say yes, great. If they say no, thank you, that's great. If it's yes, I give them the information. But I never walk up to somebody and say, you know, you're supposed to, or I hear, no, I don't want anybody to do that to me. I wouldn't do it to anybody else.
That makes perfect sense. And you know, it sometimes you're pushed to do it, but then other times you're like, and you know, sometimes I was told that you have to be very careful of not interfering with karma either.
Yes.
So you kind of have to ask your guides, okay, is this okay to do? Do you want me to do this? So people don't understand, there's a lot of rules that come with this gift.
Right. People assume that, oh, you just hear it. You know, so I'll walk into a room sometimes somebody will say, tell me what his name is. And I'll look at them and go, really?
Yes, stop. Just stop.
Sure, because that's important. That information just flows through me because it's important. Now, on occasion, it's there, but I kind of feel like when it is there for that kind of silly circumstance, it's because they need to know that there is some basis in this. They need to know that it's not a joke, because occasionally something really off the wall will happen. I have a funny that I think your audience might enjoy. I think I was all of, I don't know, 25. I walked into a shop and I went to order a sandwich. And as I'm leaving, I see some guy over at the soda machine getting soda, and he's ordering. And as he's ordering, and I say to the guy, don't forget your black olives. And he looks at the guy that's making his sandwich and goes, yeah, make sure there's a lot of black olives. And then he pauses, he looks at me, and I just smiled and I walked out the door. I mean, what do you say? And since then I'm thinking, really, what was the reason for that? And I have to believe that when it comes out like that, it's because there's something that he needed to listen to. And maybe it was just simply a matter of that information comes from unlikely sources. Maybe he was going through something at the time that he should have been paying attention to and didn't. And that one little thing, me telling him, don't forget the black olives, was going to be the game changer. I really
right. Yeah, and you don't. And that's the thing, is there's a lot of things we're never going to know. We just I think this is a huge gift of trust.
Yes.
We have to trust the unknown, the unsaid, you know, the unspeakable. And I always tell people, and I truly believe this, that there's so much more unseen and unheard than there is seen and heard.
Yes.
You know,
what I love too is the fact that we think there's this very thick wall between our present reality and that higher consciousness. There's not. There's a reason that when loved ones pass, all of a sudden a picture will fall over or a light will flicker, because they're around us. That energy is pervasive. Energy never dies. And I think that's the most important thing that everybody needs to know. It changes form. So we go from this physical form to another form. And before we're born, we go from the unseen and then we're in the seen. However, it's present.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And you know, the veil is so thin right now. There's so much going on around us. If you know, I'm a huge thrifter, and the other day I was thrifting, and I was looking at something, and I was about 5 to 7 feet away from the shoes, and one just flew off the rack. No one around. And so I went over and picked it up. Like, do they want me to buy these? And it's like, no, these are not even my size. So something wanted my attention really badly. Who knows? Maybe it was the person who had wore those. I don't know. And that's where the unknown comes in. You just have to be calm. Nothing freaks me out anymore. I've had too much stuff happen. I just simply went over, put it back up, you know, was very, I'm like, okay, thank you. You got my attention. If you need anything, let me know. You know, you have to and you have to go on with your life. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. And, you know, Haley, we're coming to the end, which I'm so sad about, because Halley, we are coming to the end. I'm so sad about it, because I could talk to you for hours. You are so interesting and so knowledgeable. And, you know, one of the things I like to do is I love to have our guests back, check in on them, see what they're doing. So I hope in the near future, you will be willing to come back.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. And before we sign off, give someone a golden nugget that they can take with them for the day and just kind of keep with them.
Okay. Very quickly, 2 golden nuggets, because I can't do one without the other. Okay. First thing is, if you see something, you can change it. And what I mean by that is, if you are seeing somebody and they're mad and you're starting to feel mad, close your eyes for a minute and imagine them being something different, perhaps a cartoon character. See them transform in your mind so that you giggle about it. That shifts your energy. And the other thing is studying to be intuitive, studying to recognize your gifts. Does not have to be a laborious task. If you're at a street light and there's a white car on your left and a red car on your right, and you've got a blue car, just ask when the light turns green, which car goes first? Okay.
Oh my gosh, red, white, and blue.
Yeah, exactly. Just
That's
notice.
cute.
If you hear red in your head, notice when the light went green. Did it happen? Were you right? And if you were right in your head, do the happy dance. Yay, I was right. Every time you affirm that you were correct with your intuitive knowing, it grows. And if you were wrong, go, I guess I wasn't listening. Next. Two good things that are easy.
And I've never heard about the car idea. And of course, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. But you have been an amazing guest today. I'm so grateful you came on. And to our viewers out there, I have put all of Halley's information on how to connect with her, how to see her on podcasts. Everything is in the description. I would say, please reach out to her. She is a wealth of knowledge. You just resonate kindness. And that to me is the most impressive. So thank you so much for being a guest today. You've been absolutely amazing. And to everyone watching, I will see you next Monday with another amazing guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.